As a busy mom and dairy farmer, I'm always looking for ways to support my family's health as well as my own, and I absolutely love Wonder Cow Colostrum. It's packed with essential nutrients, great for supporting gut health, boosts immunity, and promotes overall wellness. Whether it's for me, my kids, or anyone looking to stay strong and healthy, Wonder Cow is my go-to daily supplement. I've been taking it for a year now, and it is irreplaceable in my daily routine. If you want to experience the amazing benefits of colostrum too, you can use my special code, DairyGalVal, at checkout for a discount. Give Wonder Cow a try, and you will definitely feel the difference.
Hi, welcome to the Dairy Hour podcast, where rural charm meets personal growth. Join us as we milk every moment for wisdom, self-improvement, and mental wellness. I'm your host, Val Lavigne, a rural dairy farming mom with a passion for filling hearts while never forgetting to fill my own cup. Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering tips, and a splash of fun and laughs, of course. Let's cultivate growth, nourish our minds, and embrace the journey together. This is the Dairy Hour podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air and the inspiration you need to be your best self.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dairy Hour podcast. I am your host, Val Lavigne, and I am joined today by Rebecca, or you might know her as Beck Shaw, or Rebecca Pfeffer. Did I say it right?
Yep, you nailed it.
So normally my go-to is like, if it's a tricky last name, I always have people tell me before the podcast so I can think of it. And I still sometimes mess it up. So I'm like, I've heard it before. I can do this. I'm just going to go for it. I got it. So on the back.
German for pepper. You nailed it.
Yes. Well, see, so that's okay. I've got good friends that are actual Germans. So we'll give them the credit for today.
Perfect.
Oh gosh. How are you today? It's nice and cold in the Northeast. So
yeah. So I'm here in Pennsylvania, really smack dab in the middle of it. And I think we hit our first sub-zero day today. Yeah. So it's pretty brutal.
Yeah. It's that meme. I live where it's cold because alligators, snakes, spiders, hurricanes, tornadoes, all the things. And I'm like, yes, this is why I live in New York, because the girl cannot do a big snake. No, thank you. Yeah. Or I was at a board meeting and one of the ladies there is from Nebraska. And she's like, yeah, we had 3 tornadoes last week. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good on that. I don't need to fear for my life on the daily. She's like, oh yeah, we don't think much of it anymore. I was like, okay, whatever.
I'll take the 4 seasons in the snow.
And yeah, I guess I'll deal with it. Thankfully, it goes away after a while. So here we are. But anyways, so Beck, do you want to kind of give everyone an overview of who are you?
Yeah. So my name professionally, I go by Beck Shaw Pfeffer. And the reason why I go by Beck is my first job out of college was at Cargill. And there were 4 other Rebeccas on the team, and that was the only nickname that was left. So I am here. I live in central Pennsylvania with my husband and our dog, Phoebe, who is the light of our life as Dinks. And so I grew up close to here. I grew up in a small town. We graduated 35 kids. And growing up, my siblings and I were very involved in the dairy industry. We did not live directly on a farm, but our families had farms that we worked on, and we also raised our own show animals. So I always, my husband asked me the other day, what would you do if you weren't born into dairy? I was like, honestly, I have no idea. I was born and raised, I was born, bred, raised, whatever, in the dairy industry, right? And so thankfully I love it. And it's always just been such an easy thing to do and something I've naturally gravitated towards and I've become relatively, I would think, good at. So
I think I'm all right. You are
I'm still here. 10 years later, I still have a job in dairy.
Yeah, so it's good.
And so what I do professionally, well, I went to Penn State, still stuck with the ag and the dairy theme. And since graduating, I've been fortunate enough to work at several different positions, all corporate companies in the marketing field in some way. So some of it's been event planning, more of your traditional advertising agency. I've had some global and multi-species opportunities, and they've all really led me to where I am now, which is in a brand manager role for a regional dairy cooperative. And so I get to convince people every day to drink more milk and consume more fluid dairy products. And I'm obsessed with it. So I'm learning new things every day and I love it. And I've also been granted the opportunities to do some more extracurricular leadership activities, I guess you could say, in the dairy industry that have been presented to me through my career. And honestly, it all started at Cargill, and that is YDLI, or Young Dairy Leaders Institute. So I'm actually next week going to which I'm not sure when this airs, but the last week of January will be my very final YDLI class as a mentor. So that era of my life is coming to a close. And then I also serve on the board of directors for Dairy Girl Network, which I'm so passionate about. So,
well, plug your promotion in Dairy Girl Network.
Yeah. So for those that don't know what Dairy Girl Network is, it's a wonderful community of women in the dairy industry. We are made up of dairy farmers, corporate dairy industry employees, former dairy farmers who still want to stay connected to the industry, people who love milk, people who have hobby farms. We're really anybody who shares a passion or is interested in having a community and a network of like-minded women within the dairy industry, that we're your place. So it is both I would say, virtual and in-person organization, depending on the event or whatever we may be hosting. So you can check us out on social media to learn more. Dairy Girl Network. It's pretty simple across all the platforms, but we specialize in connecting people and empowering people and inspiring people, whether that be through networking events, educational webinars, conferences, etc. So
awesome. And no, I want you to plug yourself, though. You just recently got a pretty big position within Dairy Girl Network.
Yes. Okay.
It was an excellent plug for Dairy Girl Network, but I was letting you toot your own horn and you're just like, no, but this Dairy Girl Network, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yes. So, okay. Well, I'm practicing my new job here, plugging Dairy Girl Network as the Dairy Girl Network president of the board. So it's kind of surreal to think about it and to say that. And it's something, I never thought. That's a lie. It's something I aspired to whenever I first joined Dairy Girl Network. I thought, you know what, this is a place I could lead and I could really invest in, both for myself and in women that I want to be able to give back to. So this is a new position. I've been serving as the vice president for the last few years, and I just cannot wait to see how I can collaborate even more with fellow board members, the staff, Dairy Girl Network members, industry enthusiasts, etc., to achieve our common goals. So it's pretty cool.
That is really cool. It's always so nice to finally get to where you've been trying to go. And you're just like, okay, we did it. And then you get there and then you're like, all right, now I have to keep going with it. Like, what can I do to put my mark on it? What can I do to keep this thing rolling?
Yeah. It's so interesting that every time you get somewhere, you want the next thing, right? This one was
called the pursuit of happiness, not the I got happiness.
Yeah, and it still hasn't quite sunk in. It's quite humbling to be voted into a position like this. And for one, I'm just so focused on enjoying this moment that I really don't know what's next after this. But this
have to know what's next.
Yeah, this is just so cool that I don't even find myself thinking, okay, what's next? It's like, no, I'm really going to live in this moment right here, right now.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I'm really excited for you and I'm cheering you on and, tearing up when they did the passing of the torch at the conference back in November and all the things. So Dairy Girl Network is definitely a program that I've learned to really enjoy the last few years. And I was so excited to get to go to the conference this past November and meet a whole bunch of really awesome women in dairy and just women that love dairy because, that's the name of the game. If you don't love dairy, then you gotta beat it. So that's how we roll.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah.
If you don't love dairy, you don't belong in Dairy Girl Network. So, I mean, that's
True.
it's cool. There's other networks for you if you do not like dairy.
Loving dairy is a core tenet of being a member of something with dairy in the name.
It tends to hold true. It's fine.
It tends, yeah.
And then you also have another thing that you're up to. Another podcast or a podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking my head's swirling. Yeah. So my sister and I really lean on my sister now to give me my street cred and my fame, Dairy Girl Fitness. So, you know,
shout out to Emily.
Yeah, shout out to Emily. I am happy being known as Dairy Girl Fitness's sister, which I have a funny doppelganger story about that, actually.
I can't wait to hear this.
But she is really a pro at the social media and online and advocating business for dairy and wellness and combining the two. And she started a podcast called Cowgirl Talk. And she started it with two other fabulous ladies, Emily and Haley. And after the first season, they changed direction a little bit. And so Emmy reached out and said, hey, how do you feel about doing a podcast with me? I was like, I can't promise you I'll be good at it, but I will try it. And so we talk about all things sisterhood, egg, food, life. I would say it's a bit of a lifestyle podcast, a little bit of a food podcast, a little bit of us having a space to tell everyone our opinions and feelings podcast. So it's a lot of fun. We've taken a bit of a hiatus.
I have to pause you for 1 second because when you're like, sure, I'll try it. All I can think about is the line from Parent Trap. I'll take a whack at it. Why not? She goes in for it.
I mean, that's exactly what it was. And she hasn't kicked me out yet. I think we're on season 4.
Yeah.
So it's going well enough.
I do listen, so I'm there.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yes, you're taking a bit of a hiatus. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be back in hopefully February, just between the holidays and then work. And I had a pretty extended vacation recently. So we just thought, you know what? We'll be back in February. See all of you cowgirls then.
Kind of the cool thing about having your own podcast, you can be just like, I'm taking a break. Like, if you're waiting for me, wait for me. If not, like, sorry.
Yep.
That it works well that way.
It does.
What's your doppelganger story? Now I have to hear this.
Yeah. So when was it? Last summer, I was at a bachelorette party for one of my friends in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. And these gals are not from Cow World, as I like to call it. They're my kind of my friends outside of Cow World. And so they would have no idea who Emily is or what I do for work. I mean, they're truly, they know I love cows and that's it. That's really what they know. And so the bride, it was her sister-in-law who I had never met before. And we're sitting there at a brewery and she looks at me and she goes, you know, has anyone ever told you you have a doppelganger? And I got really flattered really fast. And I thought, oh yeah, you know, maybe the girl from the Big Bang Theory, maybe Jennifer Aniston. I don't know. Which one of
I know, who do you think I look like?
I know. Which one of these beautiful celebrities are you going to compare me to? And she goes, no, it's someone on social media. They're not really a celebrity, but it's kind of a real person. And I was thinking, what? And I was so confused. And she goes, have you ever heard of Dairy Girl Fitness? And my friend lost her mind. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That's my sister.
Amazing.
So this random girl who I've never met before, just on a random bachelorette party, knew of Emily and thought, you know what?
You kind of look
like someone. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? I'll take that compliment because Emily's fit and beautiful. So I'll take it.
Perfect. I'll take that compliment any day. Like,
yeah,
she's low-key celebrity. So you're saying, like, comparing me to Jennifer Aniston? Like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I might have taken Jennifer Aniston over Emily, but Emily's a nice second.
I mean, it's like steps up. Because, like, and Emily can both look like,
yeah.
Both look a lot like. Just for advantage, just push the gamut. Go for it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So I kind of want to back up a little bit and talk about growing up. And, you know, you said you weren't raised on a farm, but you always had show cows and agriculture right down the road. So Do you want to talk a little bit about, how did you end up, getting into cows at a young age? How did that all play out for you?
Yeah, so both of my parents come from family farms and, they met in college through the dairy program at Penn State. Apples don't fall far from the tree in our family. We're all Penn State dairy people. And I think really, it was them involving us from day one. And that involvement included things like taking care of our own animals at home, our own show animals. It included working at our grandparents' farm or other family members' dairy farms, feeding calves, milking cows, scraping poop, all the random power washing calf pens and the panels. So it was something that we were always involved in because of them. And, our parents didn't force us to do it. They forced us to try it. And then we all ended up liking it. So I'm really, we got the bug. And as we got older, we would also do things like 4-H and FFA and Holstein Association, which is a dairy cattle breed association. And that's where we did things like Dairy Bowl, which is, a quiz bowl for cow nerds, for those who aren't familiar with it, dairy judging, public speaking. Truly the only thing we never did growing up, I feel like, related to dairy kids was to be dairy princesses. And honestly, to this day, I kind of regret never having that crown.
Seriously.
I know.
For sure, that would have been right up your alley.
You know what? And I am involved with it now, some doing personal branding and style seminars with the girls and how you can express yourself through clothing and personality, right? So it was never a negative thing. It was just like it was always my friends were doing that. So I call myself the dairy princess without a crown sometimes. That's what my mom, my sisters, and I call ourselves. But these things were, what we did growing up. And, that just kind of, it's like a domino effect. Once you start one, then it just kind of progressed
on going
as we went.
I'm the dairy princess that just never gave up her crown.
I'd rather, I'm a little envious of you.
Once a princess, always a princess. Oh gosh. But that's one of those things people are like, how did you get so involved in like sharing online and like doing things? I was like, because I was a dairy princess and girl was not letting it go. So I just kept going with it.
Yeah.
Social media became a thing and I was like, I can do this.
Yeah. And I feel like social media, sharing on social media really started to blow up, I feel, as I entered college and into my corporate career. So it was something, I feel like I grew up with social media in a way.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're similar ages. I think you're a touch younger than me. I'm old. It's fine.
It's like, I don't know that I want to share my age on this.
You don't have to. No, I think we're similar aged. I might be
I'm an elder millennial, but more towards mid-elder millennial. Mid-elder millennial.
Really going with this. I'm a millennial that doesn't necessarily always identify as a millennial. That's me.
I don't know. I'm pretty hardcore millennial, I think.
I think I have millennial tendencies. I don't know. I gotta not think too far into this because then I'm just like, what actually? Identity crisis. It's fine. It's all fine. I graduated in 2006 from high school. How's that?
Okay. Yeah.
I had a Facebook in college, okay? I did once have a MySpace. Did you ever have a MySpace?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I think back to those MySpace days and I'm like, I used to know how to code. Because you
knew how to code. We didn't know we knew how to code.
Yeah, I think about that often, actually. And I try to find my MySpace sometimes.
Sure.
I don't know where it's gone.
Into the abyss of like black hole, internet, something. Yes. Yep. Good old MySpace days and having your song on your profile.
Yeah.
Mood you're in. If you're real ticked off at someone, you put a real angry song up there and you're like, I'm mad at you. Yeah, you put on my.
Oh, my first song was Run It by Chris Brown.
Oh, there you go. That's an old one.
Yeah.
Nothing says you're a millennial like having a MySpace with Chris Brown as the music.
Yeah.
I love it. That's amazing. So as you're, growing up with all these really great programs around you and showing cows and stuff, how did you always know what you kind of had in plan for a career? were you like set on something and then change? Going into college, what were your thoughts?
The only time I've ever strayed away from dairy was one time in high school. We went to go visit the local Votech, and I was so intrigued by interior design. And I still think we're actually currently renovating the house we bought. And I'm like, every time I walk in there, I think I could be Joanna Gaines. I really could.
Pennsylvania Joanna.
I could be the Pennsylvania Joanna. And honestly, I also always used to love doing hair. So I could totally see myself owning a salon. But because I've always been very creative, I think. And I have, as I went, but I went to college, I thought, I would rather work with cows, but I think in another life I might have done interior design or hair. But going into college, I think I actually entered with the major ag ed. I think I went in as ag ed wanting to be an ag teacher, and I thought about it
like every millennial our age,
every millennial, and then I thought, oh my God, I'm good. Teenage boys, I'm good. No offense to teenage boys. It just
not like this podcast, so you're good.
And teenage girls. Let me be clear. That was a joke. But I just realized, you know what? I kind of just entered ag because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Jokes aside, that was something my superintendent and a mentor told me to do. And once I actually got into college and started taking my classes, I realized that I started to gravitate towards the marketing and the business. And then also because I was terrible at the science classes. I mean, that first D I got in bio, that's the first time I've ever cried in a bathroom too. It was so I realized, maybe I'm cut out for business because I'm not cut out for bio and OChem. And
that's some tough stuff.
It's tough stuff. And so I really loved those classes. And I also loved the social aspect of college, being the clubs. I mean, also the other social aspects, but I love
the clubs and the club.
The clubs and the club. And I was always really good at, organizing apparel or organizing trips or leading fundraisers. And I thought, you know what? I love organizing and working with people. And it actually turned out that my dairy judging coach while I was in college had someone who graduated from Penn State and worked for an ag marketing agency. And he was always looking for interns. And so that was the first connection that I made. It was my junior year that really sealed the deal of like, oh, this is what I like. Because I had previously had internships and externships in, under a local congressman. I learned very quickly that politics are not for me. And then, I worked for one of the farm credits. That was okay, but I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I did sales and some other things. And it was that summer at the marketing agency Beta Rudder that I realized, oh, wow, this is a lot of fun. And so that's kind of where it really started to snowball after that. So
you graduated Penn State.
Yeah.
And your degree ended up being in
ag business with a minor in international ag.
Ooh, international ag.
I did that because to get the international ag minor, you had to travel abroad. And that's the way I twisted my parents' arm into letting me do something.
Where did you go?
I went to Costa Rica for a spring break with an environmental 400 level class. And it was the best trip ever. It was so cool.
Jealous. That's on my bucket list. It's Costa Rica.
Yeah.
To go on all sorts of fun trips. I can't wait to have this conversation a little later because I always ask people about their trips. So,
yep.
Hold that thought.
Yep.
So you graduated from Penn State and you got into some ag marketing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have, had different careers all in marketing. The first one was at Cargill. That was more of I would say an entry-level marketing role. I did a lot of event planning, a lot of sell sheets, a lot of just organizing programs and campaigns, and I learned a lot. And then it just kind of came to a point where I realized I need to do something different. And I had great mentors and a great boss who kind of encouraged me to go back to agency, not as an intern, but as an actual account manager. And so that I call my time at a marketing agency, it was like getting your master's in marketing at a very, very fast pace. I've learned so much while I was there from an advertising, a business perspective, a client management perspective. And after that, I thought, you know what? After you kind of like jump onto a new experience, the next experience gets a little bit easier. I thought, I don't have any global experience. And someone called me out on that once. So I then took a position at Zimpro as a global content marketing manager. And that is where I focused on multi-species and more of a global messaging perspective. And it was super, super, it was hard. I realized at that job, it's hard to learn new species and it's hard to talk to people at a global level, but I loved it. I loved the people there and I still keep in touch with them. But I realized at that job that after all of these experiences, I wanted to do something that was more localized or more regional. And I wanted to get back to dairy. And specifically, I think I want to talk about dairy food, like get more onto the consumer side because I've always been on the animal health and welfare side. And that's when I took a job as a brand manager with a regional dairy cooperative. So it has been absolutely amazing. And for the first time in a while, I really feel at home in my job and I'm learning. I mean, this is the most humbling job I've had yet. They really took a gamble on me and I'm so thankful for it because I'm really starting to come into my own in this position. So I'm excited. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've learned, kind of jumping into something that might be a touch over your head, but, how do you as a person attack that?
Google.
Yeah, GPT, baby. Let's go.
Seriously. I'm a manager for the first time in this role. And she goes, you always seem to have an answer for, for things like, how do you keep up with all this? And I said, I literally have Google open on my other computer every single day. During meetings, I'm looking things up. If the conversation is moving too fast to ask a question, or if I feel the question will totally derail the conversation, I'm always Googling.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think, I come in with the skill set of organization and managing people, managing events and managing projects, managing clients. I mean, managing clients from an agency perspective will teach you literally every skill you ever need to know. And I was just able to apply those, understanding, okay, here are where my strengths are. Here's where they're not. I had a lot to learn about how plants worked and how the actual supply chain of milk from farm to retailer actually works. I had to learn how, retail customers operate and how to sell to them and how to partner with them. I knew very little about the formulation of products and the regulatory landscape other than high level things that I had read. I kind of started to learn who was really good at all of those things and started to develop relationships with them. And I think through that, by offering them my skill set that I'm good at and bringing them in to help me where I'm not, I am slowly but surely just kind of like learning things because I've just been doing them. I mean, it sounds so simple and so silly, but everything I've learned, it's truly just been by, well, I got to do it. So let's just do it.
Google it. Do it.
You Google and go. I mean, really, that's like the story of my career is Google and go.
Me.
Seriously.
Oh gosh. It reminds me of that like thing that, farmers will say, like ask a farmer, not Google. Well, this one, she just sells milk by asking Google. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. I love it.
Yeah. It's true. It's
some serious stuff, like just by saying, asking Google, hey Siri, like.
Yeah. Google and building relationships with people who are really good at their job.
Yes, 100%
help you, right? It's like building relationship and where people want to see you succeed and they will help you make it through.
Surrounding yourself with the right people and knowing what a good source is on Google versus a bad source on Google, because you have to be able to vet that stuff out in order to make it work.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can really get yourself into trouble fast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So, so that's kind of your corporate journey.
Now, as far as Dairy Girl Network, at what point did you kind of jump into Dairy Girl Network and become involved there?
Yeah, so that started really early in my career whenever I was at Cargill. And I actually remember the first dinner now about like 10 to 11 years ago that Dairy Girl Network had at World Dairy Expo. And Emily and I were going to go, actually. We were going to go to this dinner. We thought it was so cool. And a girl I knew from college who was a few years older than me said, "Hey, you should come to this." And I thought, okay, sure, sounds great. But Emily and I bailed on it because there was a barn party that we wanted to go to instead. So look at me now, right?
Look at you now.
Look at
me, man.
I'm no longer a silly 18 or 19-year-old. But about, maybe 1, 2 years into my career, I had thought, okay, I could use some external leadership opportunities, right? You go from being involved in all these club and activities to getting a job, and then it's a bit harder to stay connected outside of that job. And again, I had really great mentors and bosses, and my boss was like, "Hey, I want you to meet Laura Daniels." And so he introduced me to Laura Daniels, and she gave me ways to get involved and volunteer. And it really started when I managed the relationship of Cargill sponsoring Dairy Girl Network, that I started to learn more people. And I started leveraging Dairy Girl Network to take some of our female customers on trips or to events to, kind of give back to them as a cool form of customer appreciation. And so through that, getting more involved and just really liking it. And I found it so rewarding because it was so different than my corporate job in the sense that I feel a deeper purpose and value in the work that I'm doing with Dairy Girl Network. That's not better or worse, just different than the purpose and value I find working for a company. And so it just kind of evolved, and I applied for the board because I realized, you know what, I'm not growing as fast as I wanted to from a leadership perspective in my own position. I was growing more like outward in my skills, but I wasn't getting opportunities to necessarily level up position wise. And I mean, that's what every person 3 years into their career thinks, like, why am I not the boss yet? But being a part of that and then eventually being elected to the board, I always felt such a sense of accomplishment being able to excel my own leadership, but also truly give back to an organization that had a purpose bigger than me. And that it just really filled my cup being involved in it. So I've dedicated a lot of time to it. So I think it, I'm starting to, I've learned the ins and outs of it, and I've learned a lot of amazing people. So it truly started out as, hey, I'm going to selfishly take this on for me because I need a bigger network and I need more leadership opportunities. And it just has exceeded my expectations by leaps and bounds.
Perfect. It's wonderful when you do find that place, and you think a lot like I do as far as like, you don't always seem like, you always feel like there's something more, and you're kind of always looking for something different to do, something different to try, that next thing to, like, as you said earlier, level up yourself, up your game, if you will. We'll talk some millennial, your game, but it's a really good way of thinking. And I feel like we never stop learning as a human. And if you do stop learning, like, there's no point in being here because one person cannot possibly know everything. So it's nice that we do have those organizations within dairy, within agriculture, that we can, make that outreach and become a part of these other organizations. And it's really nice to be a part of an organization that, like, it's so uplifting and so inspiring, but it's kind of always got that little bit of like, you see the other women within it doing like these really great things, and it's almost like that little like lift that you need.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, I can totally do this too. Or it helps you strive to get better. I don't know if it made a lot of sense, but
yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same concept as I was just talking to someone at my spin class the other day. Is I like coming to the gym with other people in group fitness classes because by myself, I'll do well, but I might skimp out a little bit. But when there's another woman next to me, pedaling her little heart out or who went up to a higher dumbbell than she did last time. Well, okay, if she can do it, I can do it.
Exactly. So I'm like thinking, I'm listening to you say this and I'm just like, this is me and this is why I thrive. And I go to a boot camp style gym that has, specific group camps, like, and that's exactly my thing. If I'm next to someone that's like crushing it, I'm more apt to be like, well, if she can do that, I can do that. And I'm just like, she can lift that, I can lift heavier than that. And it's like constantly pushing me to do better. And one of the things that you mentioned, like showing up instead of skimping a little bit, they do like camp counts. So there's like within a calendar year, like it's a big celebration when you hit 50 camps. It's a big celebration when you hit 100, and then 250 is like the crown jewel. And so that's like, I feel like I'm on a rat race, but I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm going to hit that 250. Like I have to. Yep. There's other girls that are going to do it. And I can do it too. And then you look, and you're like, oh, it's all a mind game. And I love it. That little bit of competition.
Yep. Yeah, it's that. It's the camaraderie of it, that it's like that positive nudge that you're giving one another to say, okay, we could learn a little bit more about this, or we could think about this a different way, or hey, have you thought about volunteering in this position if you need an outlet to develop your own leadership skill set?
Yes, 100%. I love it. And, I love the fact that you also consistently go, even being Dairy Girl Fitness's sister. I mean, I know that's a hard, we got to make sure Em listens to this because you'll probably die laughing. But like, going to those fitness classes and stuff. And I think it's also so important for us as women that are deeply immersed in agriculture. Like one of the things that I've found going to the gym is that my whole entire life, I surround myself by people in dairy, or people like I barrel race also. So like I have like my barrel racing friends, I have my dairy friends, but like it's all, agriculture, like animal related. And it's kind of nice. Like now I have a different set of friends that don't have any ties to farming. They don't, they don't know what's going on within agriculture. And if I'm having like a cruddy day, I can or agriculture, something's just not going right on the farm or whatever, I can go there and I can kind of like shut it out for a minute. And like, they're always there. Like if I wanted to talk about it, like, sure, I can, talk away and they'll try their best to understand. But it's kind of nice having someone that's not going to be like, oh, how's the farm doing? Like all the time. So it's just nice having that separation, because people live, especially being on the farm, people live, your life is at the farm. It follows you home. It follows you everywhere you go. Or like you're out running errands. Oh, I have to do this for the farm. Like things like that. So it's just nice to have that separation. Do you find that as far as your career goes as well? Like you're constantly immersed within like the dairy business?
Yeah, it's tough. The one thing that is tough about being so invested in the outcome of the company or the business that you work for is that it never shuts off. So, I mean, even, I work in food production. So now more than ever, especially with a lot of the trends and potential new regulation that's going to come out. Every time I see the dang news, I'm like, Joey, he goes, no, not tonight. Save him for work tomorrow. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. So, but it is really nice that I feel like I actually have a pretty solid 50-50 split of my friends that I'm still really close with that are either in agriculture or aren't. And the ones that aren't, they truly, whenever we get together, it's like we're talking about life and things that aren't work, because none of us really truly understands what the other one does. So it's like, okay, well, we can't talk about work because I have no idea what you do. And I honestly don't know. It's not that we don't care, but it's more on a level of like, are you happy? Okay, cool. That's really the depth of like what I care to know. And then we move on to other things that make us happy and maybe take our mind off things. So I really do, like you're saying, enjoy having the diversity in my network, whether that be a professional network or my personal network. And but I will say another thing that's nice about having friends that aren't a part of my cow world is that anytime there is a headline related to milk, dairy, food, cows, birds, chickens, my God, chickens, Well, me first.
Because chicken, eggs are a dairy product, apparently.
Right? Like, we were just in Hawaii and there were no eggs because of the egg shortage. And they're like, okay, well, then why are they using fake eggs? I'm like, well, they're not fake eggs. They're just pre-scrambled. And they're like, well, how do they not rot? And, it's just like these things of, okay, they trust me to ask me. And even if I don't have the answer, they trust that I'm going to know somebody who does have the answer. And so I have been more successful in promoting the dairy and food and just animal production industries through my friendships and being the person that they can text, because then I know they tell their families and then they tell their friends. And it's this ripple effect that I have never had on social media. That's just never been my, strong suit of where I advocate. Social media is more of my highlight reel of like, look at all the cool things I'm doing. But on that personal level, I've made some really nice connections of being a person who people will call. So
it's nice
for that reason.
Yeah. And funny you say that about the eggs, because someone from my gym literally texted me the other day and asked me about the price of eggs and why it was high. And I was like, well, while I'm not a chicken farmer, this is what's going on.
It's also like, it's been on the news so much,
but people don't understand it.
People don't, and people aren't going to pay attention until it bothers them. I'm sure there are 10 million examples of me doing the same thing.
Yes. Love it. Awesome. So I love at this point in the podcast to jump into some fun rapid fire questions, because it's fun to get to know you a little bit more on more of a rapid pace kind of thing. So you're on the road. What's your go-to fast food stop?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, okay.
You have Sheets. Come on.
Okay. So, you said fast food restaurant.
Yeah, I guess I consider Sheets as just delicious. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite fast food, Taco Bell and Wendy's, because Taco Bell has a really great Power Bowl that's actually kind of healthy.
I might have to check it out.
It's really good. Dairy Girl Fitness validated it on her story the other day, and I said, I told her that. And then I went to...
Did he give you the street cred?
No. But I took it anyways.
Okay. She should have been like, my sister, a.k.a. my doppelganger, Beck, told me to try this, and here you all are.
Yeah. But I would say, to answer that question in a different way, is my number one road trip stop is always a Sheetz.
Oh, thank God. Okay. We can be friends.
Yeah, you get gas, you get coffee, you get snacks, you can get a meal. So if I'm on a road trip and I've got to stop somewhere, Sheetz. If I'm traveling by myself, Sheetz, because I know it's safe and I know the bathrooms are clean.
They do have good bathrooms, yes.
Yeah.
And their cheese curds are delicious.
They actually are pretty good, yeah. For a Pennsylvania born gas station, pretty solid cheese curds.
Yes. I mean, they might not don't come at us, Wisconsin people. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. This is not
desperate over here. We don't have cheese curds like you people do, okay? We got to do what we got to do.
Yeah. So Sheetz. Yeah. Sheetz is my road trip.
Sheetz is the way to go. But I am going to have to go try the Taco Bell Power.
Yeah, the Cantina Bowl. It's pretty good.
We'll have to give it a shot. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
She's like, silly question.
We're going.
If you're listening to this and you did not see the look that she just gave me, it's absolutely hilarious. Like, why would there be another option? Like, it's coffee. Duh. Gosh. Favorite book?
Oh, man. I have no idea. I'm going to answer that differently. Book I'm most excited to read next, Onyx Storm.
What is it?
Onyx Storm. It's Fourth Wing or whatever. It's like a dragon fantasy book, and it's a guilty pleasure. But another book I really love that I talk about all the time is Anxious People by Frederick B. something. It's the same guy who wrote A Man Called Uwe. Anxious People, if you even have the slightest hint of anxiety, which I think everybody does, you've got to read how he writes about the way people's minds work. It's a really good book. So if you're not into
that on my list,
if you're not into smutty dragon fantasy, I would go. Anxious People is really, really good.
I'll have to try it. I've been on a for multiple years now, might I preface. I'm on an 1800s London kick.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I go for it. And like, I was born in the wrong century, or I definitely, like, one of my past lives, I was like a duchess or something in England. Like, it's fine.
Well, so what's your favorite book?
Oh my gosh, I read so many of them. I don't.
It's so hard.
Oh,
Do you have a good read?
What's that?
Do you have a Goodreads?
I have not. This is my illiterate, like, I don't know if it's ignorant or illiterate, whatever you want to call it. I just have my Kindle and I just am constantly promoting things.
The thing that's nice about a Goodreads, I know we're derailing, but if
okay,
you're competitive at all, that's the way. And every time I think of like, oh, I've read that book before, but you can't add it to your Kindle. So you start to see how many books you've truly read or listened to.
So how do I add can I add my Goodreads to my Kindle?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah. So, and if you're ever bored one night and you don't want to scroll social media, scroll Goodreads and just think of all the books you've ever read, even in high school, and start adding them. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've read so many books. I'm awesome.
I'm gonna have to go for this. All right. We got this.
Okay, next.
But yes, no, I'm a book series. So my go-to book series, and this comes from also I was born in the wrong century, is of course Little House on the Prairie. I am a Little House on the Prairie geek.
Oh man, I've got to add those. I haven't added those to my Goodreads either. I loved those books growing up. Laura Ingalls was like who we were for Halloween many times.
So my first show cow for costume class in 4-H, I made her paper mache horns and made her into an ox. And I was Laura Ingalls and she was my trusty ox. And I had my grandma made me a little dress and a bonnet and all the things. And I was rocking it. So
I love it.
So if I need to just read like a classic that I've read millions of times, I'm going Little House on the Prairie all day, every day. So
I love it.
Let's see your favorite holiday tradition. Any holiday, not specific to like Christmas. It can be anything.
Yeah, I love watching It's a Wonderful Life before every Christmas.
Every time a bell rings,
an angel gains its wings. Yeah, no, I love that. And then, yeah, I would say Christmas and everything that comes with it. The movie, I always learn how to bake one of my Graham's Christmas desserts with her and my mom. So that's really nice. And then Christmas is usually the one where most of our siblings, the Shaw squad is home. So Christmas and everything that comes with it.
I like it. And your favorite music genre? Or you can list multiple if you're a true millennial.
Yeah, it's probably pop of some sort. I wouldn't say standard pop, but it's always still pop on my Spotify Wrapped every year. This year it was country because Post Malone's album took the cake for me, and Chris Stapleton and Lainey Wilson weren't far behind him. So country and pop, I would say, are a tie.
So, well, now that you said pop, I have to ask, because we're similar age, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
NSYNC. Oh. I honestly think our age gap is the Backstreet Boy and then the NSYNC.
Yeah, but my cousin's the same age as me and she was NSYNC also. So
okay, well, I was trying to. Well, you know what? Also, my oldest sister, Erin, and she was about 9 years older than not oldest. I only have one older sister. Erin is 9 years older than me, and she loved Backstreet Boys. And so we were all obsessed together. And, then my frenemies in elementary and high school loved Backstreet Boys. So
you had to go in.
Dug my heels in deeper on them. But let me tell you, Backstreet Boys comes on at a wedding.
You're jamming.
I'm all in.
I mean, I'm the same way with NSYNC now. We can look back at it and laugh, but when we were kids, it was a fight.
Yeah, my first concert was NSYNC in 4th grade.
My first concert was Backstreet Boys. Top row of this arena. Top row. It was quite a quite an experience. And I love to end my rapid fires with these 2 questions.
Okay.
Your favorite trip you've ever been on?
Ooh, Hawaii that I was just on.
Wow. Not even your honeymoon? You're recently married and it wasn't even your honeymoon. Oh my gosh.
I was still with my husband in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. So it's second honeymoon.
It really was. It really
Perfect.
was. So, I mean, Hawaii, hands down. It was unbelievable.
What islands did you go to?
We just went to Maui.
Okay.
But we did, Rodahana. We did the sunrise at the summit of Halikala, or I'm probably butchering that, but basically it looked like the sunrise on Mars.
Yep.
We saw multiple whales breaching together. We snorkeled with turtles. The food, I was like, I don't even know if I like raw fish that much, but here I do.
It's okay in Hawaii. Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
not so much.
I'm not about to get the ahi tuna poke bowl in Altoona, Pennsylvania, but on Maui, oh yeah.
You can only have tuna, regular tuna in Altoona.
Hey, our local baseball team is, the mascot is a tuna fish because of Altoona. His name is Al Tuna, like Al the tuna.
That's the corniest thing I've ever heard, and I love it.
Awful, but also hilarious.
You have a malasada in Hawaii.
I don't think so.
The donuts?
No, actually, no.
So sad. Because had I known, I would have told you needed to get 2 things in Hawaii. One being a malasada from this little, like, hole-in-the-wall bakery that sells out before, like, 10 or 11 a.m. every morning. And they're, like, the best donuts ever. And they're, like, on a stick. And they're so good. And, which I think this is on the Big Island, though, unfortunately. So they make these things in Hawaii, and they're called donkey balls.
Oh, okay.
And they are chocolate-covered macadamia nuts. But the names that they come up with are literally the best things ever. They have, like, flaky balls, salty balls, crusty balls. They've got them all. And it is literally the best thing ever. And they're delicious. Like, when I say their names are a little funny, but they're one of the tastiest snacks ever. So,
next time.
Missed opportunity. When you go back, let me know and I'm going to hook you up. I'll tell you right where the donkey ball store.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So with your favorite trip, now what is your, like, bucket list? Like, I have unlimited money. I'm going on a trip. Where are you going?
South of France.
Ooh. That was very quick and very specific.
Yeah. South of France, and like I would go to a really fancy F1 race, and
Ooh.
then but then I would hop around, right?
Yeah.
But south of France, there's something about it that I've always just been like, I want to rent a villa, like live out my bougie Instagram girl life there. Mind you, I'll probably think about this later and think of like 10,000 other places I could go, like, oh, what about Tuscany, or what about Iceland, or some of these countries that are less traveled. But south of France popped into my mind. And
It wants to be bougie. It's fine.
I think that's
Wine and
yum. And the sun. Yeah.
my mom and I send each other back castles on Facebook. And a lot of them are for sale in the south of France. So if you have unlimited funds, you just go buy a castle in the south of France and call it a day.
Yeah. I read a book recently too. I can't, something vintage. I can't even remember. It was a random book I found, but it was about this girl. Of course, it was a romance novel.
Of course.
She redesigned and brought back to life these old family chateaus. And there was one in the south of France, and they also had their own vineyard. And I'm like, I want that life.
Can I please go live there for you? I will get you.
I'm about dairy to own a chateau and a vineyard in the south of France. Honestly, that might be the one thing.
Every day, you gotta just look for them. Sorry, fam. I'm leaving.
Now,
Be in the south of France. If anyone needs me, you gotta come to me. I'm not coming back here.
yep.
Was one for sale, and it did have a small little dairy barn on it. So, I mean, you could still technically have.
Oh, I can make my own cheese and my own wine.
It's like match made in heaven.
Really is.
I love it. So I love to ask a question that's more of a deeper thought question that was left by a previous guest. So your question is, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, I know that sounds so corny, but like, even when I think of the things that went wrong or the things that I don't necessarily, I don't want to say that I don't like, but make me cringe about my younger self, I wouldn't be here today.
They're the things that shaped you.
Yeah, right. I wish I could say, God, some of those like guys and like being so obsessed in the young age while my other friends were getting married. You know, I got married, I guess, technically later. I'm doing everything later than I thought I should, and I worried about it a lot. And now I know everything I did was exactly the way it was supposed to. And that's usually the first thing that comes into my mind is you're not behind anybody. Like my career was always progressing and I was always doing really great, but I thought, okay, I'm behind on the personal, but I'm not. I mean, if I hadn't been behind, I never would have met Joey and I wouldn't have Phoebe, the best golden doodle to ever exist, right? I don't know that I would have been so apt to take some of these career opportunities that I've had or to travel or to go see my friends whenever I want, right? So there have been a lot of things that back again make me cringe, but I really wouldn't. I don't even know if I'd tell her not to sweat the small stuff because I'm here and I like where I'm at. So I think I'd just tell her to keep going.
Perfect. That's good advice, though, because when you look back at your 20-year-old self, you're just like, oh, okay.
She could probably dye her hair a little less.
Your hair a little healthier. Would you please, like, just cut down on the hair dye a touch? It'll be okay.
Like the bleach and the pink, you could do without, girl.
Oh, I want to see a picture now.
Yeah. Back into my Instagram for the rose-colored hair days, the rose
hair rosé. See, it was like a hint of what's coming in the south of France with the rosé.
I know, right? It's always been there. I've always been manifesting it.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Beck, what do you have for a quote? What is a quote that drives you to be the best you can be and really speaks to your soul?
Well, you know, in true fashion, when you told me to come prepared with this, I Googled quotes. Because, you know, I thought about it. I was like, I don't know that I have a quote that immediately comes to mind, but one that really jumped out to me was, it's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, and it is, do what you can with what you have where you are. And I think that kind of just speaks to how I've approached my personal life, my professional career. And it's okay, we're here. This is the stage we're at. And we're just gonna make the most of it and kind of see where it goes. And so I feel like you could take this quote a million different ways, but I think it probably relates most to just how I've progressed and always taken the next step or really just dug into what was in front of me and seeing where it takes me. So thanks, Teddy.
Awesome. Good old Teddy Roosevelt. He's just done so much for us.
I was like, maybe I should think of someone else. I'm like, nah, it jumped out to me. So that's the quote I'm feeling today.
Yep. It's where it's at today. Good old Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah. Good old Teddy Roosevelt.
Beck, where can people find you if they want to follow along on your adventure?
Yeah, so you can follow Cowgirl Talk. I know we're on Instagram for sure, so start there. And then if you want to follow me personally, you can find Rebecca Shaw Pfeffer on Facebook or LinkedIn. LinkedIn is more of my professional platform where I'll share more about my current career and Dairy Girl Network and YDLI. And then my personal Instagram account, which is just a bunch of pictures of food, my dog, my cows, and my husband. And some really great fits that I put together sometimes.
Perfect.
That's
you need.
Beck Peff, I think, is my Instagram handle. Pfeff. Beck Peff.
Awesome. And I will link those in the show notes for you guys to find them easier. And do you have any last parting words for everybody?
Just thanks for having me. I hope that if there's anything I said today that you either related to, you thought was ridiculous, or maybe made you laugh, I hope it brought you some sort of enjoyment either way. And just, I'm glad to be here to share my story with you, Val, amongst the other great people that you've had on here. So I'm honored. Hey, I'm on a podcast. How about that?
I appreciate it. And it's been so awesome getting a chance to catch up with you and, hear your story from start to finish is so inspiring and the really great things that you're out there doing. I love especially I love when I have someone so like-minded on, where you just are constantly striving to be better and find ways to improve upon the person that you are. It's just inspiring to hear from you and see the great things that you're doing. Keep being badass, because hey, that's where we're at, right?
Yeah, we're just doing our best.
Go Team Backstreet Boys.
I'll let you have it.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Yeah, we're here for it. If you guys loved this episode, please be sure to share with a friend. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Hey, Dairy Hour listeners, if you're enjoying this show, leaving a review is the best way to help us grow and reach more people. Plus, I've got a little thank you for you. Snap a screenshot of your review, message it to me at DairyGalVal, and I will be sure to send some fun Dairy Hour stickers your way. Thanks for supporting the podcast, and I cannot wait to mail you some swag.